In the big state of Montana is a little town called Big Sandy. And at the foot of the Bears Paw Mountains just outside Big Sandy, the world's biggest farm tractor has made its home.
This Big Bud is the largest tractor in the world.
The one-of-one tractor that's still billed as the world's largest farm tractor.
The Big Bud 747. In addition to its incredible features, this unit is recognized for being the largest ever produced.
The Big Bud 16V 747 has held the title as the world's largest tractor for over 4 decades.
6 machines. Combined, they weigh more than 400 tons of forged steel and carbon alloy. And right now, somewhere on this planet, at least one of them is moving, slicing through a wheat field at highway speed, processing a metric ton of grain every 90 seconds, burning more diesel per hour than a city bus does in a day. 12 countries control 80% of global calorie exports. And the machinery making that possible is accelerating toward a single vanishing point. Full autonomy, zero driver, satellite-guided fleets covering millions of acres by 2030. A machine worth $1 million, dependent on proprietary software, rare earth sensors, and a global diesel supply chain, now sits at the operational center of the food systems feeding most of the planet. A breakdown at the wrong moment does not trigger an insurance claim. It triggers a failed harvest. The story starts in 1977 with a commission nobody else would take. Industrial-scale farmers needed a machine built beyond anything in commercial production at the time. The answer came from a small manufacturer in Havre, Montana, which built a 16-cylinder Detroit diesel tractor standing over 11 feet tall, weighing 100,000 pounds, and delivering 1,100 horsepower on 8-foot tires.
Hi, Big Tractor Power fans. This video comes to you from a 3,000-acre field in the Big Sky country of northwest Montana, known as the Golden Triangle for the region's production of wheat and small grains. The world's largest tractor, the 1,100 horsepower Big Bud 16V 747, is working in this field with a Friggstead D780 7-section 80-foot chisel plow. This big tillage team is preparing the ground for next year's winter wheat crop.
That was the Big Bud 747. To this day, nearly 5 decades later, no production farm tractor has surpassed it. In 1977, the ceiling of agricultural engineering was a single, custom-built machine dedicated to one farm operation. Claas launched the Lexion 8900, 790 horsepower, a 16.2-liter MAN engine, and a grain tank holding 18,000 liters. Its APS Synflow hybrid threshing system delivers up to 25% more throughput than the previous generation. The machine is 14.5 meters long and weighs approximately 22,000 kilograms, roughly the same as 15 standard passenger vehicles stacked together. At 40 kilometers per hour on roads, it moves faster than some jurisdictions allow standard trucks. John Deere's X9 1100 combine, priced at approximately $1 million, receives real-time satellite positioning data, autonomously adjusts its threshing concaves based on crop moisture sensors, and logs yield maps across every pass of the field, feeding data into a farm management ecosystem few small operations can fully access. It allows a single operator to cover terrain the size of several city blocks per hour. The X9 1100 sits inside a networked system, meaning a breakdown cannot be fixed with a wrench. When a $1 million combine breaks down in a remote county with no certified dealer within 300 miles, the cost and the yield loss fall entirely on the operator. A John Deere X9 1100 fully configured sits at $1 million, and that figure covers the combine alone. The header runs separately and can add the equivalent of a mid-range residential property in cost. The annual software subscription that activates the full Precision Agriculture suite runs on top of that, and none of it covers the diesel. A machine of this class consumes fuel at a rate equivalent to powering a small municipality's generator for a full working week during peak harvest season.
Hi, I'm Matt Solly, contractor in Kent, southern Kent, farming over a wide area of land, mainly cereal crops. We do contracts, just contract combining and contract farming arrangements for varying different clients. We're harvesting approximately 7,000 acres over a 35-mile radius around the southeastern part of the county, mostly combinable crops. This year we're running 2 Claas 8900 combines. We've run Claas for the last 15 years here at home on the family farm. We've had Claas Lexion 770s, we had 2 780s. This is our second pair of 8900s. Running 45-foot 13.8 Vario headers. So these latest machines are running the latest CMOS automatic systems. We've noticed yet again the output of these 2 new machines has increased again. We feel there's more engine power. Just generally the control side of the machines is vastly improved on our previous machine.
The Case IH Steiger Quadtrac 620, the 4-tracked traction titan rated at approximately 620 horsepower, is designed to pull tillage implements wide enough to cover ground at a scale that only makes economic sense above a certain acreage threshold. Below that threshold, the equipment cost destroys the profit margin entirely. The machine's 4 independent rubber tracks distribute its immense weight across the soil, an engineering solution to the compaction problem that older wheeled tractors created.
Wir peilen jetzt die nächste Spur an. Das AFS-Connect-System hat der neue natürlich auch. Wir fahren über 5 Satelliten per RTK, können über das eingespeicherte Vorgängermanagement die Scheibenmenge ablassen und geben mal ein bisschen Gas. Das höchste Drehmoment hat dieser Motor mit 16 Liter Hubraum bei 1400 Umdrehungen. Dann stemmt der Cursor 16 Motor unglaubliche 3200 Newtonmeter auf die Kurbelwelle. Wir schalten jetzt das automatische Drehen ein, können hier das Negativgas tippen, dann nimmt er die Drehzahl runter und der Bolide dreht Spur an Spur mit der 12 Meter Scheibenegge, lassen die Egge wieder runter, tippen den Button auf dem Boden und schon wird die Drehzahl wieder erhöht und der Motor beschleunigt auf die vorherige Geschwindigkeit. Es gibt natürlich auch eine Getriebeautomatik.
In October 2014, a CR 1090 in Cooperstown, North Dakota, harvested just under 800 tons of wheat in 8 hours, a Guinness World Record that has not been broken since. That is enough grain to produce approximately 580,000 standard loaves of bread in an 8-hour run by a single crew. The central pivot irrigation systems feeding the fields these machines harvest form their own engineering category. The longest mobile steel structures on Earth, some spanning over a kilometer, rotating on electric drive wheels around a fixed water source at the center.
Okay, this is our field, this is our dirt, and this is a pipe. We're going to put water out in the field with a pipe. It's called an irrigation pivot, so we've got a pivot point here. We have to rotate the pipe around the pivot point. So there's tons of questions here. Like, for example, when the pipe fills up with water, it's going to get heavy and it's going to want to sag, right? So how do we support that pipe from below? And are there different sections to this thing, or is it just one long run of pipe? And what do the sprinklers look like?
Just under 800 tons in 8 hours delivers a pressure the soil underneath absorbs long after the harvest is done. Soil science records show measurable subsoil compaction at depths exceeding 18 inches in fields regularly operated by heavy combine equipment. Compaction that standard tillage cannot reverse within a single growing season. When a 22,000 kilogram machine makes repeated passes across saturated soil, the pressure transmitted through even wide rubber tracks exceeds the structural tolerance of the topsoil layer. Calorie production is increasingly concentrated in operations large enough to service the debt load of precision machinery fleets. A $1 million combine financed over 7 years at commercial agricultural rates generates an annual debt service figure equivalent to the entire annual revenue of a 200-acre grain operation in a median yield year. The machinery economics have shifted the break-even point. A Claas Lexion 8900, running at less than full capacity across a season, generates a cost per harvested ton that no mid-size independent operation can absorb without cutting into seed and fuel budgets for the following year. John Deere's precision agriculture systems, the same satellite guidance and autonomous adjustment systems that make the X9 1100 extraordinary, are protected by software locks that prevent independent repair. A farmer who buys a $1 million machine and then faces a sensor failure during the 2-week harvest window cannot open the diagnostic software without an authorized dealer connection. Federal trade regulators have formally examined this issue, and their findings describe a structural aftermarket constraint with direct consequences for rural operators located far from service infrastructure. In high-latitude grain regions, harvest windows run between 10 and 17 days before weather risk forces a stop, meaning a 2-day diagnostic delay waiting on a dealer appointment can erase the margin of an entire season. Farm equipment ownership has been consolidating rapidly through custom harvesting contractors, operations that own fleets of combines and move them north with the harvest season, state by state, leasing their capacity to farms that cannot justify purchasing the machinery outright. The farmer pays for the pass and gets the grain. The contractor sets the schedule. During the fertilizer supply chain disruption of 2022, modern precision agriculture systems were calibrating and distributing inputs with extraordinary accuracy. But that accuracy assumed a stable supply of nitrogen, phosphorus, and potassium at predictable price points. When the global fertilizer market contracted by over 40% in a single quarter, the satellite-guided variable rate application systems on those $1 million combines were calibrating inputs that were not arriving at contracted prices. Soil health data under heavy mechanization shows an erosion rate in conventionally tilled fields that exceeds the natural soil formation rate by a factor that, over decades, reduces the productive depth of topsoil across large sections of the American Midwest. The machines that produce record harvests today are, in part, running on a finite physical resource. The next generation of autonomous platforms, lighter, distributed robotic fleets designed to cover the same acreage with lower individual machine weight, directly addresses the compaction arithmetic. The development cost embedded in that architecture, however, pushes the price threshold further than the $1 million combine already has. LiDAR arrays, AI inference hardware, and redundant safety systems required for cabeless, operatorless operation place autonomous fleets into capital territory historically associated with sovereign infrastructure programs, well beyond the purchasing range of independent farm operators. If the next generation of farming infrastructure is more effective and more expensive, the global distribution of who controls calorie production shifts accordingly. Food security research has tracked exactly that concentration curve, and its slope has not flattened. Right now, leading agricultural technology firms are actively testing fully autonomous combine fleets for 2030 deployment. Machines with no human operator aboard, monitored remotely by a farm manager from a tablet in an office 30 miles from the field. Machines designed without human ergonomic constraints can be built purely around agronomic efficiency. Sensors covering 360 degrees, reaction times clocked in milliseconds. The nations that can field those fleets at scale by 2035 will control a structurally larger share of global calorie exports than they do today. The nations that cannot will buy grain at prices set by whoever got there first. Subscribe to follow the next development in this ongoing investigation.